Hyundai's president and chief operating officer, Jose Munoz, recently gave an interview to Bloomberg. And in that interview, he all but confirmed something we've been really hoping to hear. He also talked Superchargers, Amazon, and the EV slowdown. So if you want to find out more about this, stay tuned. But first, a word from today's sponsor, NACS. With wet spring weather well on its way, now is a great time to purchase some all-weather floor mats from today's sponsor, NACS. NACS is a Maryland-based company selling high-quality, laser-measured floor mats at a great price. They're made from TPE, which is a mixture of rubber and plastic, so they offer traction and flexibility as well as strength when you need to remove them, so you're not going to dump their contents all over your floor. If you've ever owned floor mats from, say, WeatherTech, then you know those are made from a much harder material that tends to warp over time. Not with NACS. They also feature a simple and classy looking pattern with a lip around the entire footwell so liquids won't spread around and get on your carpeting. I've been using their front and rear floor mats as well as trunk and rear seat liners for over a year now, and they've held up admirably. So these floor mats have gotten the Ioniq seal of approval, and when anybody asks which floor mats to buy, I always recommend NACS. Available on their website or Amazon, the link's in the description. So we'll start off with the biggest piece of news from this interview. Jose basically confirmed that by Q4 of 2024, all Hyundai and Genesis EVs will be coming equipped with a NACS charging port. Now, if you're not familiar with what NACS is basically the Tesla plug, at least in North America. Every Tesla sold here has a proprietary plug. In Europe, Teslas come with the CCS2 combo charge port, which is a relative to what Hyundai's and Genesis's currently have in the US, which is CCS1, which is a combo that allows for charging on a J1772 for level 2 at home, as well as the DC fast charging pins for doing that on public chargers. And the dominoes began to fall last spring when Ford announced that it was going to be switching to the North American charging standard on its vehicles going forward. And basically, the main driver behind this is so that all these automakers can gain access to Tesla's supercharger network. And historically, Tesla's superchargers have had great uptime, very good reliability, in great locations, typically around lots of restaurants, lodging, places that you do want to stop and charge, as opposed to the back of a Walmart parking lot, which is where you will find pretty much every Electrify America station in the country. Now, unfortunately, Teslas in the United States are all based on a 400-volt architecture. Hyundai and Genesis EVs are based on an 800-volt architecture. So sadly, as it stands today, if you plug in a Hyundai or Kia at a Tesla supercharger that has a magic dock, this is a Tesla supercharger that has a built-in adapter. You can't use your own adapter. It has to be at one of these stations, and they're few and far between. If you use one of these, you'll top out at 97 kilowatts. So 400 volts and 800 volts just aren't working together to give you full charging power at about 240 kilowatts. So all of these high voltage architecture vehicle makers like Hyundai, Lucid, they've all said that we want to do this, but we want to be guaranteed that you guys are going to begin implementing 800 volts at your stations. And that would be coming with the version 4 supercharger that still has yet to really be implemented here in the United States. Now here's the big monkey wrench that was kind of thrown into this mix a couple weeks ago. Tesla laid off a good chunk of its supercharger team, and this left everybody very confused. We're at this peak point now where Ford, Rivian, they all have access to the supercharger network. There's going to be all these new cars charging on it, possibly causing issues, possibly reducing their uptime and their reliability. So now is not the time to be laying off a massive team like that. And some automakers were left completely in the dark. So in this interview, the interviewer said, "What's going on with Tesla and their supercharger business? Has Hyundai been able to get anybody on the phone?" And he said, "Well, definitely not with the people in charge of that project, but we signed an agreement with Tesla, and definitely we count on Tesla delivering on that agreement. It's not an individual agreement, it's a contract between two companies, which I think is beneficial for both. We have no doubts that this is going to be okay." So that's reassuring to hear that coming from Hyundai's president, because when I heard this news, it really got me worried that we might not be able to get supercharger access anytime soon. He goes on, "We're confident the agreement will be honored because, again, it's a win-win. We think it's good for both. Our plan is multidimensional. We are also doing our own infrastructure. Starting this year, we're going to see some of the 30,000 ultra-fast charging stations with Ioniq." So if you don't know what Ioniq is, That is basically a conglomerate between a bunch of automakers here in the United States that's going to build their own charging network to be more of that universal charging network across the United States. Now, that brand was officially launched earlier this year, and they had a ton of job postings, and I really hope that they hired a lot of this really good talent from Tesla that got laid off that knows a lot about how to build good charging stations. Jose goes on, I don't think this is going to be the last initiative that we will take in order to provide better infrastructure to our consumers. It's just one step. We need to continue and do even more. So having already seen the updated 2025 Ioniq 5, that's already on sale in Korea. Hopefully they're making this change for the 2025 model year for US models, because this will future-proof the Ioniq 5. You can always use an adapter if you do want to connect to a CCS charger. Teslas can charge at pretty much any CCS charger in the US. And a lot of these charging companies have already said they're going to begin putting NACS connectors and cables on their chargers. So EVgo is one of them. ChargePoint, I think, is already doing it. So you're going to start seeing them on almost every charger soon. So they also talked about the EV slowdown, which is just a slowing down of the adoption of EV ownership. So the interviewer said, is Hyundai feeling the effects of a slowdown in EVs? Jose says, for us, it's a driver of growth. It's true that last year it was a faster driver of growth, but it's representing more and more business for us. Definitely, the infrastructure is behind the technology. When the consumers are confident about infrastructure, it will be better. And it's not only existence of infrastructure, but how convenient it is. You go out today with an EV in California, which has good coverage, and for the most part, the chargers are working. Still, you have to wait maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes, even 1 hour just to charge your vehicle. You go to a normal gas station, you can do that in 5 minutes. So he's admitting that adoption has slowed down this year. That just means that the hockey stick curve we were starting to see during COVID is just starting to flatten out a little bit, but it's still going up. We're still seeing a ton of EV adoption. All these publications that want to make it sound like nobody's buying EVs and they're just going to go the way of the dodo are just very confused and just trying to mislead people. We're still seeing a ton of EV adoption. So remember a few months ago when Hyundai announced that they were going to start selling their cars on Amazon? Well, we're finding out a little bit more about that here today. So the interviewer said, how is Hyundai's partnership with Amazon going? Jose says, this had a little hurdle when we made the announcement because people immediately projected, okay, these guys are going to sell cars on Amazon, so direct to consumer. No, this is not direct to consumer. This is selling online through the dealers. The dealers are selling the cars. The dealers are choosing if they want to join or not. They're selecting the vehicles they want to put in the system. They're also choosing the prices. The biggest benefit is coming to those dealers, that they get access to millions and millions of customers that, for the most part, didn't know about Hyundai. So everybody knows about Amazon, not everybody knows about Hyundai. What we've seen so far is that the full purchase experience has moved down from 3 hours to about 15 minutes. The customers are very pleased and the dealers are very pleased because they are done with the process in a much faster way and with a much higher satisfaction. I'm never 100% pleased in the sense that I really want to go faster, but so far, so good. Supposedly, this is supposed to launch at some point in the second half of 2024, so I will keep you guys posted on this. Maybe in the future, I'll buy my next Hyundai on Amazon, and maybe you will too. So anyway, guys, what do you guys think? Are you guys excited for NACS? I know this whole supercharger thing kind of threw a big monkey wrench into it. It had me really worried, but I think reading here from the president of Hyundai that things are looking good for Q4 this year, that's really reassuring to me because if I'm going to get another Ioniq 5, I really want it to have a NACS port. I don't want to have to use adapters. I just want to have that natively. So if you like today's video, give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. Consider becoming a channel member for as little as $3 per month. You'll gain access to all of my videos early before everybody else gets to see them, and you'll be helping to support the channel directly. I really appreciate all of my channel members. Thank you guys so much. Check out my store at ioniqguy.com for accessories for your Hyundai, Kia, or Genesis. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody.